In this section, we're going to show you how to take a piece of footage like this, which has been shot in front of a green screen, and just in a few clicks, give you this, and then take it even further. Your introduction to green screen. So I've got to be completely honest. I can't believe I've got this far into the course and not discussed chroma key, or what used to be called chroma key. It's now just affectionately known as green screening, which is what you can see behind our talent here. This isn't a piece of stock footage. This is actually a piece from a shoot I've done at a client's, purely because I couldn't find any green screen stuff, because why would you? Because most stock footage doesn't really have anyone speaking, because that's kind of not what you're doing it for. So I had to grab some from my own archive, and this was shot at a client's place. And what we wanted was our talent, our presenter, to be on a blank background that we could use and we could animate with if we needed to. So this is the shot. And to explain what we're looking for with green screen is we're looking for a well-lit talent, which is what we have. We have the fill light over on here. We have a nice bit of shadow coming across the face here. I'm actually just going to close out these because we don't need these at all, if at least just not right now. And this was quite well lit. We're lighting our talent, but most importantly is the green screen has to be well lit as well, because what you're trying to avoid is hot spots and shadows. And we weren't 100% successful with that, just because of the places that we could put the lights. This background actually has 3 lights shining on it from off shot, and as you can see right here, this is our big softbox lighting our talent. But I knew it didn't really matter that this was in shot, because this wasn't going to be in the final composite, because again, that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a composite. So let's start. Well, first and foremost, we shot so we knew that our talent wasn't going to move, and as you can see, our talent stays right pretty much in the center of this green, a little bit off to the side, but that's absolutely fine. So first and foremost, what we need to do is we need to just get the color right first. So what we do is we go to our color, and I shot this in Cine 2 with the Leeming LUT settings. That's just to make it easy for me. So my corrective LUT is Cine 2. Boom, all of a sudden we've got more colors. Good, happy with that. What I will do is I'll add a little bit of contrast. And as you can see this, if I toggle this off and on, the green, the green really pops, which is exactly kind of what we want. To give us a little bit more room, I'm going to lift the shadows ever so slightly, which should bring these shadows up. It is going to affect our talent as well, but you know, you're marrying off the two. Happy with that. Go down to creative. I'm just going to sharpen it so slightly. I have sharpening turned off in camera, so I bring it in. It's my workflow, and it makes our videos just pop that little bit more. Good. Happy with that. So we know that we only need, we only want the section where our talent is, but we don't need anything off the side here. As you can see, this was being shot in a work environment. So first off, we mask out. So we use our opacity mask, and all we want, I just want to draw a free Bezier. So I use the pen tool. Just going to drop this down to maybe 50%, just to get me some room on the outside. Remember, we touched on that in a previous section. I'm just going to go up here, down here, just a crude box all the way around. Boom, boom, and done. So now we have just that. That's all we want. We're not going to feather this because we don't want to feather all the way in or anything. We're actually going to take that to zero feather. So if we get off, you can see it's a definite line all the way through. And that's the start of what we're trying to do. I'm going to come out of color, back into editing, and good. By the way, I've clicked into editing, but these, remember we normally have like Motion Array and Premiere Composer in here, but the last time I had Atom Editing open, I'd already deleted them. If we want them back, don't forget, right click and reset to saved layout. But this is how I want for now. So now what we want to do is we want to bring on a keying out effect. And that's why it used to be called chroma key, and it used to be blue. And the reason why it's green now is because people have started wearing blue. Actually, our talent has like a dark blue on here, but this lime green is very rarely in clothing. And like I touched on previous when we're looking at, I think there was a shot, I was in Boris FX Mocha, and they had a blue screen, I think it was, rather than green. That's because there was green in the scene, and they knew that ahead of time, so they brought a blue rather than a green. But green works for us, and I just make sure that all of our talent are told that, yeah, we don't want any green. Please avoid any green. Now, we could rotoscope this. We could take this into After Effects and rotoscope, but as you've seen, that takes up quite a bit of time. And the green screening, the keying system in Premiere Pro has come on in leaps and bounds in recent years, so it works so much better. And the importance with having a blank green is, you can see here, we've got space in between the arms, which we need to key out as well. So what green screening effectively is doing is you're selecting a color and saying, ignore that color, take it off, turn it to an alpha channel. So make it see-through. So that's what we're going to do. Effectively making the rest of the green act like the rest of this mask. So up in our effects, we go into our search bar and we type for ultra. And we want the ultra key effect. So we grab this and we drag this onto our video clip, and nothing has happened yet. What we want is to check and pick the color. Now, what is highly advised is that you pick the green as close to your talent as you can. It doesn't always have to be, like, say if our talent moves around, and say we pick somewhere around here and she moves ahead, that's okay. It's not always picking from that pixel, it's just picking that color. So we pick out our key color, and let's just get somewhere close. I'm going to get down here near the shadows and just pick that. And I mean, that's done a decent job already. Well, all that green is gone. You can see there's a little bit of white here, but that's, I mean, that we can work with that. The white that's left there is like the lighter part of the green that is still there. For our output, we're going to, if we check it over, you can see our alpha channel, which will show you, remember, white is kept, black is rejected, and here are just certain parts of gray. So those are brought in to the percentage that they are gray, if that makes sense. So all we need to do is, if we go to color channel, you can see also it puts a different color on where the green is. I never find that helpful because I can't see the nuance in here. So I'm going to go back to alpha channel for now, and we're just going to scroll down a little bit and play around to see if we can clean up this. The beauty of having the alpha channel is that we can see that definite line around our talent. So if we start playing with, say, the tolerance, take the tolerance up a little bit, you can see how much that's affecting, which is absolutely nothing apart from a little bit down here. So we'll X that out. The pedestal, now that makes the difference. So if we take that pedestal and we drag that up just a little bit, so it's gone here, it's still a little bit here. If I then take the tolerance up, will that get rid of the rest of it? Not really. As I said, this is a little bit of trial and error. Let's take the pedestal all the way up until that's gone, which is there. Let me just drag that back a little bit. I'm watching the numbers here as well. And we're going 40. Okay, we're at 55. Let's switch back from the alpha channel and see how that's looking. Looking pretty good to me. That's looking okay. And if we drag through with our talent, that looks like it's done. I mean, seriously, how easy is that? So we can check in a few ways how well that has actually done, because we're looking on black, and yeah, okay, it does look spot on, but let's be absolutely certain. So let's go into here and let's just create a color matte. In fact, I don't have to. There's a white matte right there. Let's drag that in, drag that behind our talent, and yeah, okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now, what I want to check, if I just come back to Ultra Key and just toggle off and on. I just saw there's a little bit of lightness here in her hair, and I didn't know if there was a bit of spill from the green. Not that it could do really, because it was behind her, but no, that's not taking that. Now you see how the hair here, we're getting rid of a little bit of a hair, which isn't really too much for a problem. But if we go into spill suppression and play around with this spill, we can try and get a little bit of that hair back. We don't want to change the matte cleanup maybe. Again, this is a lot of play. Sometimes the spill suppression will help. You see how this choke, our choke here is pulling in that that key. So if we change from the choke to soften, and I want to kind of soften it just a little bit, and then with our midpoint, obviously if you take things all the way, you can see how much they have an effect, but that doesn't actually seem to be doing anything. I don't remember this being as easy to key out as it was the first time, but it seems to be absolutely working great. How do we feel with regards to, well, we don't want to turn her like an alien, but the saturation is 100%. Hue is absolutely 0 because we don't need to color correct, because we color corrected before. And actually, I'm more than happy with that. Again, if you need to make those little changes, let's just play this through and see how it's working. And yeah, we look okay. What's drawing my eye, if I zoom in a bit, say maybe to a 200%, what's drawing my eye is this here, but it's actually the back of her hair. And actually, if we look a little bit closer now, we can see that there are certain parts. I'm just going to pre-render this just to absolutely double check. If I obviously set the out point at the end and Control and Enter, we can absolutely double check, because there seems to be a little bit of artifacting actually on the clothing. If I drag that through, yeah, we don't like that. Yeah, okay. So this is where we really start playing with the spill suppression and all this. If we drag this up, we still have that spill suppression. We still have that artifacting there, and we don't want that because it takes down the quality. So I'm going to undo that spill, and we're going to kill off the softening. Yeah, the softening is what's doing it. And I want to maybe boost the contrast. There we go. So that's that gone. If I undo, I'll tilde. So this is undone. If I Control Shift and Z, bring it back up, that's gone. And yeah, that looks much cleaner now. So that was because I was too soft on the matte cleanup. Again, I didn't need to be soft because the key had been so good in the first place. So that's our talent keyed out. Now, what could we do with this? Well, we could do a lot, because if I reset to saved layout, so we've got our little tools up here. If I say, okay, but I'm just going to put lab. I'm not going to try and spell laboratory. I'm going to look for lab in here. And okay, that doesn't quite work for me. No. I want like a background of a lab. Do you know what? If in doubt, let's see. I was looking for green screen all the way through this and I couldn't find anything. But let's get into ArtGrid and let's go a science lab. And okay, we look very similar. People, we don't want any people. This is the beauty of this as well. It's so handy. We don't want any movement either. So our shot type, we're going to say interior, obviously. We want a tripod. So hopefully that will just lock it off. And how does that look? There's absolutely no movement there at all, though. I mean, that might as well just be an image. If I look at the rest of the story of this, see, that's moving. Is that moving? Is that moving? No, that's not moving. Oh, it is a bit of movement. Okay, well, we'll go off that. We'll go for just what looks like an image, but we're gonna, yeah, we'll make this work. Cool. So I'm gonna add that to my basket, or my cart, sorry. Check out, go for that, and download that in 4K. And I'm just going to grab that lab footage and bring it into footage and double click. Come on, double click laboratory. And I'm going to bring that in. Good, that works for me. Now you can see how this was shot at a slightly different size. If I, sometimes this sets it set to frame size. No, that doesn't work. So we just need to scale it up a little bit, just so the top and bottom is all good. Good, happy with that. And then we're going to grab our talent and put our talent above. Get rid of this white mat. And let's bring that down. Now, because this is a static shot really of the lab, we can duplicate this. We can just hold down Alt and drag to the side rather than up, drag to the side, and we can make that all one. Cut that off, and starting off, okay, that looks good. We're all right. However, it looks like a background, doesn't it? It doesn't look like she's actually there. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to place her to the side. Just a little bit. Rule of thirds is always, you know, love a rule of third. If you don't know a rule of thirds, look that up because that's important. And what we can do to make this kind of believable, I'm just going to nest these two clips below. So if we choose to affect this, we can affect them both together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an adjustment layer. Sorry. And remember what the adjustment layer did? It kind of affected everything below it. So I'm going to drop that on, put that over the top. And if I go to color, if I now start affecting the color on this adjustment layer, it will affect both of these. So if I go to basic correction and just maybe, no, I don't want to change the exposure actually. Let's bring up the contrast just a little bit. Shadows, maybe bring them down a little bit. And if I add a little bit of sharpening. No, I don't want to add a bit of sharpening. Let's maybe take down the saturation a little bit, bring up the vibrance. That kind of is starting to kind of feel right. If I just toggle this on and off, use the 0. See how we're starting to bring them in with the same levels of contrast and all that. We can kind of, we're placing them in the same kind of area. Obviously this, we didn't light our talent with this in mind. This was just an afterthought. And if you are thinking of doing this, kind of have a look at the footage that you've got first to kind of see where the lights are. Because looking at these lights will be going all the way along here, or we could imagine that they are. So maybe a top light would be good to kind of give that effect. And maybe a little bit more light on here, which will be bouncing off the side of this wall onto our talent. Into if we take our talent and lift up the shadows a bit more, that kind of, yeah, that brings it into a little bit more believability. Now, the final thing that I would do personally with regards to this footage to make it look that little bit more believable is, if you know any kind of rules of photography or videography, you'll know about depth of field. And while this is out of focus, this is in focus. And the thing is, it's not possible with one lens and one camera to have our talent in focus, this out of focus, and then further back have something else in focus. And those little kind of things, your average viewer would not necessarily pick up on, but they'll be like, something doesn't really feel right, but they don't know what doesn't feel right. So we're going to use our friend Gaussian blur. In the effects, drag that and put that onto our background. Now we don't need a lot of this. We really don't need a lot of this. In fact, no, we put it on the wrong thing. We put it on her. Yeah, we did. We're going to put it on the bottom layer. Sorry, this is the nest. And we don't need much, just the tiniest little bit, just to kind of help sell it. See how we're just blurring that out? I mean, if I went all the way up, I mean, we'd be like, what's the point? But if we blur it out just ever so slightly, and there we have a pretty believable chroma keying out of a talent, which originally, if I go back here, put this up here, actually, and let's, I'm just going to reset everything. That was at 50. I'm going to turn off the opacity mask, turn off Lumetri color, turn off ultra key. That was our original. If I put a little fade on there, just with a few clicks and with the footage actually planned out ahead with the lighting and getting the green screen exactly how you want it, you can go from that to this. And as you can see, everything looks absolutely spot on. And as she moves her arm, look at her right arm, left arm towards, as we move it out, you see how you can still see the image behind. And it's the little things like that, rather than a bit of artifacting of green or it going all a little bit noisy. It's those little things that will help the eye believe what it's being shown. So that is green screening.